Many people think Peppa Pig's show is all about fun and games,
Dinosaur.
but that's not entirely true. Did you know that both Peppa and George have to follow certain rules set by their parents?
You'll see.
That's right. Sometimes it might seem like Daddy and Mummy Pig don't care much about their children's manners, but that's just an impression. You can see in several episodes that Peppa is actually well-mannered, often saying things like please when asking for something and thank you when someone helps her. And when she forgets, her parents or other adults, like her grandparents, remind her. George is also being taught these manners and has already started to behave politely, even though he's still so little. In other words, being young isn't an excuse to be rude. Without a doubt, these good manners are part of the educational rules created and enforced by the Pig family, and both siblings have been guided to follow them from a young age. Parents really need to teach essential lessons to their kids at this age, just like the Pig family does. After all, this is just the first of the 8 strict rules Peppa Pig and George must follow. Want to know the others? Then get ready, because it's time for another episode of Cinewave. Brushing your teeth properly is a very important hygiene rule, but unfortunately, not all kids are taught this. Even some adults barely brush their teeth and walk around with bad breath. Surprisingly, even the Pig family, who aren't exactly role models for personal hygiene since they love jumping in muddy puddles, understand that cleaning their teeth is essential to avoid cavities. But for kids, there's another reason. If you don't keep your teeth clean, the tooth fairy won't leave a coin under your pillow when she takes your tooth. The funny thing is, the tooth fairy actually exists in Peppa Pig's world, so this explanation makes perfect sense. Of course, this is a playful way to teach young viewers about oral hygiene. After all, who wants to disappoint the tooth fairy? This extra motivation has surely inspired many fans of Peppa to take better care of their teeth, likely preventing lots of cavities, gum disease, infections, and bad breath. Another rule the Pig siblings strictly follow because of their parents is dressing appropriately for the occasion. Going to bed? Wear pajamas. Heading out at night or in the cold? Put on a coat. Going swimming? Wear a swimsuit. In one episode, Daddy Pig notices George wearing an astronaut outfit at bedtime instead of his pajamas and reminds him to change. The kids have probably been told to wear the right clothes so many times that it's become second nature since they almost always follow this golden rule. And it makes sense. Otherwise, things would get messy. Wearing pajamas at bedtime helps keep their other clothes clean and unwrinkled. Plus, since they're so young, there's always the risk of accidents during the night, especially with George. In that case, only the pajamas would get dirty. Wearing coats when going out is crucial. They always do this when it's nighttime or not very sunny, and the reason is simple. The Pig family lives in a small town in England where it can get very cold. Temperatures can drop below freezing in winter, so following this rule prevents colds or worse problems like pneumonia. And when it comes to swimsuits, there's not much to explain, right? If you swim in regular clothes, you'll get soaked, so having specific swimwear for the pool or beach makes perfect sense. If you love swimming at the beach or pool like Peppa, comment below with #water. One very important lesson that Daddy Pig and Mummy Pig have taught their kids is to respect traffic laws. That means always crossing the street at the crosswalk, never walking when the light is green, looking both ways before crossing, and avoiding crossing if cars are too close, among other things. It's not just Peppa's parents who emphasize this. Madame Gazelle also supports the idea that kids should learn these lessons early. That's why she takes them to meet Police Officer Panda, who teaches them the most important traffic safety rules. Peppa even became a temporary safety officer, which means she definitely memorized all the rules and knows how to stay safe if she needs to go somewhere on her own. This is a super fun way to teach kids traffic rules that apply almost everywhere in the world. Even though the show is aimed at little ones, I think plenty of adults could benefit from watching this episode. If you've ever seen someone running across a busy street like Sonic, you know exactly what I mean. Speaking of traffic rules, the Pig family also follows a set of similar rules, but these are more about their car and ensuring everyone's safety while inside the vehicle. They're pretty strict about this, and for good reason. Daddy Pig won't start driving until everyone is buckled up because seatbelts are absolutely essential to keep everyone safe in case of an accident. This is something Peppa and George will probably carry with them for life. By the time they grow up and get their own cars, following this rule will feel completely natural. Another precaution that Daddy and Mummy Pig take is putting Peppa and George in car seats whenever they travel. Since they're both so young, they need this extra protection to stay 100% safe during the ride, especially George, who's only 2 years old. Peppa still requires this special care too, but it's just a matter of time before she no longer needs a booster seat. Or it would be, if time actually passed in the show. Another example of their car rules is that they won't go anywhere in a dirty car. Cleaning the car before heading out is a must.
Congratulations!
Peppa, George, and all the other kids on the show also have to follow some rules during playtime. We all know how some games can get a bit dangerous. Every kid has scraped their knees at least once playing soccer, dodgeball, or another active game. Even less intense activities can sometimes result in small injuries. That's why the kids in the show follow specific safety rules to minimize the chances of getting hurt. For example, when going down a slide, they must keep both feet together and never slide down with more than one child at a time to avoid collisions. On the swing, they need to hold on tightly to the ropes and not swing too high. If someone doesn't follow these rules, they could fall and get some very painful injuries. As for the seesaw, only 2 people can play at once, unless one of them is a heavy adult like Mr. Bull. In that case, more kids can sit on the other side to balance the weight. However, the ideal scenario is 2 people of similar weight playing together. They also need to sit at opposite ends and be careful not to slam down too hard on the ground. This is another example of how the show sets a good example for its fans. If a child didn't know the importance of being careful during playtime, they'll definitely learn it from Peppa Pig. If you want to discover more amazing facts about your favorite cartoons, don't forget to click the subscribe button. It's quick and easy. Since we just talked about the care and attention needed for children and babies, let's address a rule that's pretty evident in almost every episode of the show. George and all the younger characters always take priority. If you have a younger sibling, or you are the younger sibling, you know exactly how parents often give way more attention to the youngest in the family. They're more delicate, less mature, and of course, incredibly adorable. Because of this, Peppa often finds herself being treated as second priority. There are many episodes where Mummy and Daddy Pig clearly focus more on George, the family's baby. This preference isn't just limited to Peppa's parents, it seems to be a generational trait in the Pig family. In one episode, Peppa's granddad shows a similar favoritism by allowing George and Richard Rabbit, Rebecca Rabbit's younger brother, to use the slide repeatedly before anyone else. In fact, the 2 toddlers get so many turns on the slide that Peppa and her friends are left standing and watching from the sidelines. The reasoning behind this is simple. George and Richard are so young that they might start crying if they don't get their way immediately. And as any parent or grandparent knows, there's nothing more intimidating than the sound of a crying baby. The show, being as exaggerated and playful as it is, takes this favoritism to comical levels. A perfect example of this is when you compare Peppa and George's birthday celebrations. For Peppa's birthday, she gets a cake, a new dress for her teddy, and a silly performance from Daddy Pig wearing a costume. It's a fun and sweet little celebration. But George's birthday? He gets a full-blown dinosaur-themed extravaganza in an actual museum filled with real dinosaur fossils, life-size displays, and tons of other fascinating stuff. His party is like a grand production, while Peppa's is just a modest but cheerful gathering. This exaggerated portrayal of younger sibling favoritism is a playful reflection of what many families experience in real life. Do you remember when we talked about wearing the right swimwear before jumping into a pool? Well, that's just one of the many pool-related rules that Peppa and George are taught to follow. Peppa is shown to be very responsible when it comes to swimming safety, and her little brother George is learning to follow her example. Since they are both very young, they always wear arm floaties to ensure they stay safe and don't risk drowning. This is a simple but crucial precaution that highlights how their parents are committed to teaching good habits early. Another important rule they follow is to avoid excessive splashing. While splashing might seem harmless, it can be disrespectful to others around the pool and might even lead to accidents if someone slips or gets water in their eyes. Interestingly, even adults in the show sometimes need a reminder about pool safety. In one episode, Mr. Bull, despite being a grown-up, doesn't realize the importance of not splashing wildly. It's Peppa who steps up to inform him about the rule, showing that she's not only responsible, but also confident enough to guide others, even adults, when needed. This emphasis on safety and proper behavior at the pool isn't just for entertainment. It's also an excellent way to teach young viewers how to behave responsibly while having fun in and around the water. It's little lessons like these that make Peppa Pig both entertaining and educational for its audience. We've got 2 super fun videos ready for you to enjoy. If you want to keep the fun going, just pick your favorite and click to watch. Thanks for joining us, and see you next time!